gas ourselves up, but we short on breath. Talking about we eating, but who we really cooking. Dreaming about greens, but ain't nobody looking. No land, no acres, no seeds in the ground. When the hunger hits, who's gonna be around? We starving every day, and it just ain't the food. Feeding the hood garbage, got 'em acting a fool. We flossing with rides, stunting with chains, but these bars we spitting just bring more pain. We guilty as hell, preaching all these lies, selling debt to the kids, and we acting surprised. We commercialize the pain, broadcast the grief, tell the youth to hustle, but hide the beef. We glorify the trap, invite them to the flames, just like Reagan brought the crack on planes. Back in the 80s when the streets got soaked, my people, my brothers, all got choked. Reagan said no trades, but we know the deal. He left us in the dirt, man, that shit was real. I was just a shorty watching it unfold, old enough to see how we got sold. War on drugs, but it was war on us. Cops on our necks, no love, no trust. They labeled us thugs, beast on the block, made us kiss the pavement while they cleaned our clock. Prison became business thanks to Reagan's game. Free labor is the truth in America's name. Slavery's dead, man. That's just a word. Read the 13th Amendment. It's still absurd. They lock us in cages, serving time for life. Double digits for wisdom, cutting sharp like a knife. I'm here to say, the chains in the air, it's time we break free, start showing we care. No more flexing for nothing, no more selling out. It's time to rise up, time to end.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Today's July 6th, 2026, and you already know how I do this, get into independent music. And this morning I got Rashad Lee, Therapy Shit 2, and we'll be right back right after this.
I gotta tell y'all how I've been feeling lately, man.
Damn, see, this shit crazy.
Yo, I ain't get this beef for cheap. So I'ma leave this motherfucker bleeding before I leave. Gotta let you know I love you, ain't no question you my seed. But it's consequences when you share luck finally exceeds. I've been trying to tell myself the shit I'm living, I'm at peace. But as of late, I barely sleep, and I can't help the fact I think how a mother choose a nigga, leave a baby to the streets. And if I'm really being honest, man, that motherfucker weak. I ain't tripping over nothing, I would do the shit for free. But when that nigga started talking, I'm like, fuck it, let it be. Cool. Collecting everything that's owed to me and then some. See a nigga winning, they trying to project my income. Like I ain't see it, trying to play me like I've been dumb. Stupid motherfucker, never thought that you would switch up. I ain't playing games, better know that this ain't pickup. If I'm speaking on character, it's bigger than a hiccup. I try to keep to myself, but I can't resist it. I don't know what's real anymore, and I've been dismissive. Keeping everything in my head, and shopping's addictive. Always feel like I'm missing something, something is missing, I don't know really. I'm just thinking out loud, how I get in this position. Hope I'm making you proud, cause I made something out of nothing, now I'm doubling down. I went from who the fuck are you, now I'm the talk of the town. But will I ever get my flowers in, so yet to be found. When I was sinking in this shit, niggas was letting me drown. So ain't no asking me for favors, cause you dead to me now. And if you see me out in public, keep your head to the ground. They keeping up with me, niggas been pressing they luck. They probably average at their best, but yet they sizing me up. Skating on thin ice, I check them, now I'm raising the cup. While I was putting in the work, niggas was holding they nuts on the block or whatever. I was just like Mike in the clutch. My intention to move with purpose, I ain't chasing the bucks. If I gotta keep it 100, man, it's deeper than luck. Ain't no overlooking the fact a lot of rappers be stuck. And if I'm speaking on potential, man, these niggas just suck. Ain't no purpose in what they making, got the youth looking dumb. Mixing the downers with the uppers, got the youth feeling numb. So I just focus on myself, cause I'm as good as they come. And it's the shit that I'm competing with, silly. Shame on all of you niggas who'd ever think the shit. I look myself in the mirror, I gotta be legit. They think I fell off, funny they wanna see me quit. Fuck them. They invite, but I ain't slowing up. I can't be around motherfuckers, so I'm just holding up. Staying out the way, ain't no signs of me ever slowing up. And if I ever do, it's most likely because I've done enough. They don't ever understand me, what I owe these motherfuckers, huh? Like really. I put my motherfucking life in this shit, bro. I put my blood, sweat, and tears in this shit, my niggas. When it's all said and done, really, like, fuck I owe these motherfuckers, bro.
That's Rashad Lee, Therapy Shit 2. that it was being it's July 4th. It just passed. I wanted to bring up and show you. I took a lot of heat for this post that I made on Facebook. Right, I took some heat, and basically, it is Frederick Douglass's "What is July 4th to a Slave," and that's what I want to start this with first. Is Frederick Douglass, "What to the Slave is July 4th."
Today in this special broadcast, we begin with the words of Frederick Douglass. Born into slavery around 1818, Douglass became a key leader of the abolitionist movement. On July 5th, 1852, in Rochester, New York, Frederick Douglass gave one of his most famous speeches, "What to the Slave is Your 4th of July?" He was addressing the Rochester Ladies Anti-Slavery Society. This is James Earl Jones reading the historic address during a performance of Voices of a People's History of the United States. It was co-edited by Howard Zinn. The late, great historian introduced the address.
Frederick Douglass, once a slave, became a brilliant and powerful leader of the anti-slavery movement. In 1852, he was asked to speak in celebration of the 4th of July.
Fellow citizens, pardon me and allow me to ask, why am I called upon to speak here today? What have I, or those I represent, to do with your national independence? Are the great principles of political freedom and of natural justice embodied in that Declaration of Independence extended to us? And am I, therefore, called upon to bring our humble offering to the national altar and to confess the benefits and express devout gratitude for the blessings resulting from your independence to us? I am not included within the pale of this glorious anniversary. Your high independence only reveals the immeasurable distance between us. The blessings in which you this day rejoice are not enjoyed in common. The rich inheritance of justice, liberty, prosperity, and independence bequeathed by your fathers is shared by you, not by me. The sunlight that brought life and healing to you has brought stripes and death to me. This 4th of July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice, I must mourn. To drag a man in fetters into the grand illuminated temple of liberty and call upon him to join you in joyous anthems were inhuman mockery and sacrilegious irony. Do you mean, citizens, to mock me by asking me to speak today? What to the American slave is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days of the year the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is a constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham. Your boasted liberty, an unholy license. Your national greatness, swelling vanity. Your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless. Your denunciation of tyrants, brass-fronted impudence. Your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow mockery. Your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgivings, with all your religious parade and solemnity, are to him mere bombast, fraud, deception, impiety, and hypocrisy, a thin veil to cover up crimes that would disgrace a nation of savages. There's not a nation of the earth
guilty of practices more shocking and bloody than are the people of these United States at this very hour. At a time like this, scorching irony, not convincing argument, is needed. Oh, had I the ability and could reach the nation's ear, I would today pour forth a stream, a fiery stream of biting ridicule, blasting reproach, withering sarcasm, and stern rebuke. For it is not light that is needed, but fire. It is not the gentle shower, but thunder. We need the storm, the whirlwind, the earthquake. The feeling of the nation must be quickened. The conscience of the nation must be roused. The propriety of the nation must be startled. The hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed, and the crimes against God and man must be proclaimed and denounced.
James Earl Jones reading the words of Frederick Douglass.
Man, that to me, I think every Black person, especially if you're Black American, should especially here, because it does mean a lot more when you find out, your roots and, your family's history and things like that. And it's very, can be rewarding. You know what I'm saying? Like this July 4th meant a lot more to me than probably any other July 4th ever in my life. That's because I had found out that William Floyd, one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, is related to me. So through ancestors, I thought that was really, really interesting. And I've looked back. I'm gonna talk about it today. But what I really want to get into starting today is like the mass shootings. You know what I'm saying? We've had a bunch, started at, here goes one, Mississippi. There was 7 injured, 2 killed. California, San Bernardino, 4 shot, 4 injured, whatever. Then you had South Carolina, the Hilton, Head Island, 7 shot, 0 killed. Then you had Texas, San Antonio, 2 killed, 3. The suspect was injured. So, I mean, it's like, come on, like, people, what are we doing? Michigan, 5 injured. Compton, 3 dead, or 2 dead, 3 injured. Brooklyn, 8. Brooklyn was a trip. Ohio, 4. Kentucky, 3 injured, 1 shot, 1 killed. Illinois, Chicago, 7 injured, 0 killed. Nobody was arrested in that yet. Seems like a lot of suspects haven't been arrested. There was 3 in South Carolina, 1 in Texas, but that was pretty much it. Florida, 5 injured, 1 killed. Indiana, Fort Wayne, wow, 8 injured and 1 killed, wow. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 4 injured. Indiana, Gary, 6. Damn. Injured. Michigan, 4. This is July 5th, though. Boston, 3 injured, 1 killed. Then there was 2 in Boston back to back. Damn, they had basically 8 injured and 2 killed. No suspects arrested. That should be wild to me. To be like, how don't we not get the shooters? Like, I don't understand that. Motherfuckers I don't get it. All these cameras, all this shit to watch what's going on, and we're still not even catching shooters or anything like that. So let me get into this. America, 250 years freedom, celebrations turn deadly.
Overshadowed by a wave of deadly violence, as shootings and other incidents turned a festive holiday into a weekend of tragedy. From New York to California, law enforcement agencies responded to multiple shootings, with several cities reporting casualties within hours of one another. Authorities say at least 6 people were killed, while dozens more were injured in separate incidents during the 4th of July holiday weekend. Emergency responders worked through the night as victims were rushed to hospitals following gunfire in several states across the country. One of the most alarming attacks unfolded at a family barbecue in Brooklyn's Coney Island neighborhood late Saturday night. Police say at least 8 people were wounded when a masked gunman opened fire before fleeing the scene on foot. Among the victims were 4 children. Most are expected to recover, but a 21-year-old woman remains in critical condition. Investigators are reviewing surveillance footage and appealing for information as the search for the suspect continues.
There is no place for this kind of violence in our city. We will not tolerate it, and we will fight it with every single tool at our disposal. As we mourn alongside those whose loved ones have been hurt, let us also recommit ourselves to the work of building a city where every celebration is safe and every holiday is joyful.
In Florida, gunfire erupted in downtown Pensacola shortly after 1 o'clock Sunday morning, leaving 1 teenager dead. 6 others, ranging in age from 16 to 26, were injured in what police believe was a targeted attack. Authorities say no arrests have been made so far, and investigators continue to search for those responsible. In Indiana, another shooting claimed the life of a woman in Fort Wayne during the early hours of Sunday. 8 adults were also struck by gunfire, but are expected to survive, according to local police. Separate gun violence in Gary, Indiana, turned even more tragic after a 10-year-old boy lost his life. Police say 2 separate shootings occurred within minutes of each other, leaving multiple victims wounded. In Southern California, a large 4th of July party in Compton ended with another deadly shooting. 2 people died at the scene, while 3 others were taken to hospital, including 1 victim in critical condition. In Dayton, Ohio, 4 people were injured after gunfire broke out in the city's popular Oregon district. Officials say the shooting occurred after nearby businesses had closed, with police now investigating the circumstances. Elsewhere in Ohio, a woman was critically injured after bullets entered her home while she slept in bed. Police believe the shooting stemmed from people firing weapons into the air while celebrating the holiday. A 24-year-old suspect has been arrested and charged, with police warning that celebratory gunfire can have deadly consequences. In St. Louis, a 17-year-old boy was killed, while 2 other teenagers suffered gunshot wounds. Not all the tragedies involved gunfire. In Chino, California, a fireworks explosion claimed the life of a young woman. 2 others were critically injured after a large quantity of fireworks reportedly ignited near a vehicle. A suspect has been detained on an involuntary manslaughter charge as investigators examine the cause of the blast. Across the country, police departments have launched multiple investigations into the weekend's deadly incidents. Several suspects remain at large, prompting appeals for witnesses and surveillance footage to aid ongoing investigations. What began as a celebration of America's independence was marked by loss, grief, and emergency response efforts in several communities. As the nation reflects on the holiday weekend, authorities continue searching for answers, while families mourn those killed and injured in the violence.
If you like this,
Wow, that's crazy. July 4th is for celebrations. And all I see is like people, and all we see is people being hurt, violence. And is that what really, that's the crazy thing, because I really want people to know, is that what we are celebrating is violence? I understand how the country was built. I understand how, we had to fight for our freedom, no matter if it came to fighting from the British. Then we were fighting each other when it came to slavery. So, I mean, it's always been a fight. Doesn't matter what you are. I mean, I guess even if you're a white person, you probably had some, a little bit of fighting in your family, or, fighting the system. But we all have family members that have been wronged. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can go back until the 1940s, and my cousin, my uncle, I guess it would be more my uncle, was executed not once but twice, and Willie Francis, and you know that's not even talked about a lot in America, and that really drives me. I shouldn't say drives me crazy or whatever, but it just really shows you that America we haven't changed much. And even when I go into this story um, about how Tim Walz and the Democrats, because I'm going to say Democrats, right? This is not Republicans. I know people want to talk about Trump. Listen, I'm still fighting on a national level as well, but I'm fighting local. And it seems like I'm always fighting people that look like me or talk like me, uh, really just getting in the way of progress. And it's really weird of like, why would you step in the way? Is it because you don't understand it? You're not very smart. You know, you have low IQ, whatever it is. I don't understand that why our own people step in the way of progress. It's been like that since the civil rights era. I will never understand that. We always will be our worst enemy. But I want to get into how Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, and Natalie Johnson uh, just pardoned a man that back in 2006 was raping a 10-year-old. And you pardon a sex molester, child molester, whatever you want to call them. Like, is that what we're really about? So I ask people, think about it. Is this what you want to be known for? Because I can tell you like this. Y'all just pardoned the DFL, a sex offender, sex predator. And yet, don't even, now I understand why you allowed the ones in your community and all that shit, right? So goes more about popularity than anything else. So let's get into how Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, and Justice, I think her name was Natalie Johnson, pardoned a man from Laos who should have been gone a long time ago. So I really don't understand it. But here you go with that story right here.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is under fire for voting to pardon an illegal migrant convicted of sexually abusing a 10-year-old. The three-person panel granted 42-year-old Tu Lu Vang the reprieve on June 10th, and he was set to be deported. The Trump administration officials blasted this decision, saying in a statement, quote, Governor Tim Walz's decision to pardon an illegal alien convicted child rapist so he can remain in our country is disgusting. These are the criminal illegal aliens he and his Minnesota sanctuary politicians are protecting.
One of the members of the pardon board is Attorney General Keith Ellison, whose office told the New York Times in a statement, quote, the Minnesota Board of Pardons made a unanimous decision to grant Tu Vang this pardon after an exhaustive process, which included a statement of support for the pardon from the victim, a recommendation to grant the pardon from the Clemency Review Commission, and a large number of community support letters. Governor Walz pointed the Times to the victim's letter supporting the pardon as part of the reason for his decision. Vang says he was born in a Thailand refugee camp in 1983, and the U.S. admitted him as a refugee in 1994. Then becoming a permanent resident.
So the details here are pretty disgusting. This was sexual abuse of a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
And it was ongoing, repeated. He was 18 at the time, but it's a 10-year-old.
Right.
In 2000, so he actually didn't go to prison for this. He made a plea deal. And so I guess he's had like sex offender registry status or something for the last 20 years because this happened in 2000. This was
2005.
2005, 2006. So they tried to deport him then in 2006, but at the time Laos was not accepting. We couldn't deport people to Laos. Now we can. Laos has an agreement. So this pardon, I mean, really. He's been on the sex offender registry for 20 years. He didn't go to prison anyway. The pardon is to stop him from being deported. I don't know why we would stop him from being deported. I see why we couldn't deport him to Laos when Laos was saying, no, we're not willing to take him. But now they are, so you probably got to go to Laos. Particularly when, this is so disgusting, but what his defense at the time was, well, in in that part of Asia, in Thailand and Laos, it's culturally acceptable to have sexual contact with such an underage-looking person. Well, if that's how you feel, I guess that's the country for you. Then we're sending you back. We just read that it was unanimous. What I read is that it was like it was 3-2, or it was not unanimous. But some people did abstain from the vote. Anyway, I don't know why you would take this vote. I don't know why you would decide that this is a good idea. Obviously, it's going to generate deservedly furious blowback. The victim. So Tim Wall says he's motivated by the victim saying that she no longer, or that she supports the pardon or something. He already evaded prison time and has been on the sex offender registry, which is, being on the sex offender registry is actually a more serious punishment than people appreciate, because if you're on it, it's like very difficult to get a job and find housing, and because there's like so many restrictions on where you go and where you can live. I've heard people say that they would like you'd rather be in prison and then not on the sex offender registry when you're done and serve a longer prison sentence than not go to prison but be on the sex offender registry, because it makes life so difficult. So, like, he did get a significant punishment, but he's not an American citizen. He's eligible for deportation. The American people obviously want people in this situation deported. Laos is willing to have him deported. So I don't know why that shouldn't happen. What say you, Lindsay?
Most pardons are, well, not most of them. A lot of pardons cause a lot of controversy, right? We know this, that a lot of people comb through any pardons. We talk about the fraud pardons. It makes no sense based on policy. But specifically, when you talk about Tim Walz and how he, on fraud, but directly tied to immigration, has failed in his own state to pardon a migrant that did something as egregious as molesting and touching a 10-year-old, which is disgusting to me and completely abhorrent. The timing is just foolish for him to jump in this conversation. I would just say, listen, no, I'm not being part of this. Like, why would you want to go down as the person who does that? Especially when most of the country agrees that criminals, specifically criminals that do things like this to children, should get out of the country. Everybody was on the same page when it comes down to this type of criminal activity. And I think when we talk about the president's touting, oh, we're going to get murderers and rapists, this is the people we're talking about. He should go. And so I don't have any type of remorse for the victim writing a letter and being so far past it. That's fine. But the other 10-year-olds that live in society that know there's no punishment aside from being on some list for getting molested by a grown adult is absurd. And I like boils my blood that, Tim Walz, other Democrats can't get this. It's like easy to be on the right side of history with immigration, like allow this country to grow, allow it to flourish in a variety of industries, allow people to come in and be everything from the highest skilled workers to farm laborers. But if people are molesting and raping children, they should go.
Right.
And I don't understand why there's any nuance there and why we're protecting folks like this, especially because he's saying, I want to stay at home with my wife and 6 children. Well, I'm sorry. You shouldn't rape kids then.
Right.
Or maybe your wife and 6 children got to go with you for decisions you made. You can explain to them in another country.
They don't have to go, but you.
Yeah, but you can explain to them in another country why you did this, and explain to them why you should never do anything like this.
Yeah.
Okay, I just don't understand why this is so hard for Democrats to understand. I mean, I'm really disgusted.
I'm not going to stop you. Go off.
I didn't know about this. I didn't even know about this until we were doing the show today, and I feel like my blood boiling. And I think that maybe even changed and got exaggerated as a mom. Because I'm like, 10 is so innocent. I have a 4-year-old, right? So in 6 years, there's no chance that she understands how to navigate and protect herself in a way that an adult would in any real way. And so even if something happened to you that traumatic at 10, unless you have the right type of therapy and you go through life where you really have come past it, maybe she wants to just write this letter to just remove it from her life and get the stain off her history. Who knows the reasoning why she would write a letter supporting him being pardoned. Maybe she thinks there's no point of her holding on to this grief and animosity. Whatever it is, it still doesn't take away the fact that people should be punished for doing crimes like this. And I have no remorse for get him out of the country. Like, I don't think any Democrat should stand on this side of history. This is why we have the blow-up arguments between Lawler and Raskin in Congress, because Republicans sit there and feel like on the other side, yes, we can argue that Alex Preddy and Renee Good should be protected and that the response was incorrect there and they should still be alive today. But on the other side, you got to argue that Americans cannot be harmed by migrants that are given an opportunity to come in this country and do things like raping people or hurting people. And even though those incidents happen rarely, when they do happen, we have to call them out and be really direct about it. So I'm just disgusted.
I'm starting to think Tim Walz might not be ready for prime time. Might
thought
not
that
be
a
the guy.
couple months ago. You're a little late.
Might not be the guy. All
Oh
right.
man, I gotta cool off.
Yeah, we got more to discuss.
No, and I'm like, that's crazy as hell to me of how we are in America. I shouldn't even say in America, in Minnesota, when it comes to the DFL, Democrats. And it's really, I'm a conservative. I'm not a Republican. I'm not MAGA. I'm too, I guess, radical or whatever for the left. And the same for the right. And I'm at the end of the day, I'm not. All I want is peace and harmony. I think that's what a lot of people want. But we're tired of being shit dog. We're tired of it. We're tired of it when it comes to everybody assuming that everybody is that looks black is black when it's not like that. And I'm so tired of, oh, this is black owned, but it's not really black owned. They're not black American. You're saying it's black owned because in America, we put everybody as black. But everybody is not black American. There's only one culture, one ethnic group. We're not everything bunched into one. And that's the one part that I don't get. People tell me, well, you ain't like us and you ain't for it. What do you mean? This is the one thing I hate about niggas, because they always will tell you, oh, I'm gonna stay out of politics, so I'm gonna stay out of politics. What? What do you mean you're gonna stay out of politics? Oh, I understand why y'all want to stay out of politics, because you're still doing wrong. You're still doing wrong. You don't want to do right. You don't want to do right. That's the biggest, that's the biggest arm of white supremacy, is the fact that you niggas are so indoctrinated that you would rather be on a DFL plantation than just to be a free thinker. And that's the one fucked up part that I always get into arguments about, or even to conflicts with people, because they'll tell you that, oh, he's a Republican or he's this. No, I'm not. And every time I argue with a Republican, I always got to say, I'm not a fucking Democrat either. Not no BLMer. Those same people that y'all want to say, I call them out on both sides of it. Doesn't matter if it's drug dealers, doesn't matter if it's Democrats, Republicans. I told you I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it. And because a lot of you niggas can't understand me, that's not my problem. It's because you niggas need to go get educated. You need to go get educated and stop believing what the white man tells you. I'm going to be honest. Stop believing everything that they motherfucking tell you. If this is the one thing that I don't understand, people, right? Because there's enough people that can see it, that it's happening, but yet you have others that say, well, I need to see it. I need to see it. I need to see it firsthand. Come on, man. That should be wild as fuck to me. Like, I don't get it. You need to see it firsthand. Firsthand. Yeah, I don't get it. So last week, before July 4th, the day before Friday, I got a notice on my ancestry.com. And what I want to share with you is about William Floyd. So I found out that William Floyd, who is a signer of the Declaration of Independence, I was actually related to. I'm actually 8 times removed, third cousin. And I was like, damn, that's kind of crazy. So I was, dug it up a little bit more just to find out, who William Floyd was. If you can see that, there goes my grandma all the way down here. There goes his, so you see that they're in the same bloodline. When it comes from somewhere down the line, one of my great grandparents, brother or sister had William Floyd, and he is a person that signed the Declaration of Independence and did other things. And so I thought that was, pretty cool. That I was like, damn, I'm actually related to somebody that was one of the founding fathers. And I was like, wow, that's It's kind of crazy. And it only comes around once. It's whatever. I shouldn't say once or whatever, but I think people should go look into their heritage, where they come from. What have your ancestors did? Because I can tell you in the last 2 years of me looking at uh, through my family history, I found a lot. I have found a whole lot. Um, yeah, because even when I go onto the ancestry and see, there was family papers that showed Thomas and Jefferson and James Madison visited Floyd's estate in June of 1791. Also, General Lafayette visited Nicole Floyd II in 1824, but the slaves remained anonymous, identified by a first name only, on receipts for shoes or medicine, or on scraps of paper. So, I mean, like I said, I thought it was very, very interesting. And even when I went into, I was very conflicted because to know that a family member possibly owned other people, they were slave owners. And I guess from, reading about William Floyd, he was one of the biggest in the northern states a slave owner. I can't hide that, but I want to learn more. It doesn't matter that it's a ugly history; it's part of my history. So here you go with about William Floyd of New York, Major General in the Revolutionary War, representative in the first United States Congress, and signer of the Declaration of Independence. Here you go with William Floyd.
Fabric for the Tapestry of Liberty. William Floyd of New York, Major General in the Revolutionary War, representative in the First United States Congress, and signer of the Declaration of Independence. Guest essayist J. McConville. For those of us who spent our formative years in the suburbs of Long Island, including the village of Setauket, where I grew up, the name William Floyd is familiar, though I would venture a guess that very few are likely to know the story behind the name. As families traveled around those areas, or perhaps to the beach, including the famous Fire Island, the children would hear the familiar words, the William Floyd Parkway. I vaguely remember being aware of a historic home named for William Floyd as well, but I have no recollection of being taught who the man was or what he did to earn such recognition. I may have been taught something in passing, but there is no doubt that as a young boy I was unlikely to pay much attention to such things. Our collective ignorance of Mr. Floyd's life, however, does not detract from the distinction of it. It is only a shame, as there in our little village of Setauket we lived on ground trampled by history, a history in which William Floyd was a central character. It is also a shame that during those formative years, more effort was not made to teach us of the momentous events that took place where we lived and played. Perhaps with some more effort and respect for the past, we all would have grown up more grateful and more respectful of our nation and its founders. Even to those of us who traveled the road named for him and lived in the town that his family founded, William Floyd did not achieve the lasting fame of George Washington or Thomas Jefferson or many others of the founders and signers of the Declaration of Independence. Yet, together with them, he worked to bring about a new nation conceived in liberty. He struggled and sacrificed and did his duty and his service to the future. He took the same pledge to risk his life, his significant fortune, and his sacred honor. Few know, however, of his life, and in that way, he was a man much like most of us, a man whose name, while respected during his time, will fade into history, and his years of service will go unappreciated by those who follow. He is one of the millions of American souls whose contributions comprise the fabric that has weaved itself into the tapestry of our nation. Floyd was born in 1734 to a wealthy landowning family who had emigrated from Wales. His grandfather, Richard Floyd, founded the village of Setauket, where I grew up. The land was purchased by white settlers from the Setauket tribe, one of the 13 native tribes of Long Island, which had its central location in that area. at the time. William Floyd inherited significant lands from his father, and foregoing the educational opportunities available to a man of his wealth, he took to running those estates at only 21 years of age. He married Hannah Jones, and they settled in to raise a family, steeped in the privileges of the landowning class. Floyd was a man of his times, which is a euphemistic way of saying that he owned slaves who worked his fields and tended to his operations. Slavery was then still a common practice around the world, but the concept behind it.
That's where like I had the biggest like issue, I guess, looking back into William Floyd's history. He was one of the owner of a lot of slaves, and it's kind of crazy even to know that. Like even when it came to my grandpa, never met a black man black person, I should say, till he went to the army. My mom never met a black person till she went to college. And then she met my dad, and that's how they had me. So it's kind of like conflicted. I shouldn't even say conflicted because during that time, it was okay in America. I mean, it was legal. Not saying that it was okay, but it was legal. Doesn't make that it was right, but that it was legal. And to know that they're like your grandma's side of the family or your mom's side of the family, I shouldn't say side, but my grandma's had slaves, one of the bigger slave owners in the northern states. And it was just, I found out more and more just reading through it. And, I messaged my mom and I said, hey, did you know about, William Floyd that was part of grandma's bloodline? And she's like, no, that's the first I ever heard of it. So, I mean, I did a little background and to know that part of your family was slave owners and then the other half of your family were slaves. That's kind of a weird feeling, but I'm sure a lot of people in America that are mixed, just like me, black and white, or, black and native, or native and white, they have ancestors that probably had slaves that, I mean, I know William Floyd, like I said, fought in the Revolutionary War. You know, I know a lot of people won't understand how big that is, but that's big to me. It's because this is a person that, even with his dark history, still is a person that founded America. Doesn't matter if it was, my family members were slaves, but also a signer of the Declaration of Independence. And that to me is big. But also, I do have that dark history of my family, my mom's side of the family owning slaves, which, to be honest, I never knew that, anybody in my mom's family owned slaves. I just pretty much figured it during that time. It wasn't right. It never was right. But during that time, it was okay because that's what the law was. It was the law of the land. And during that time, we were law of the land. Part of my ancestors were only 3/5 of a person, and that's what a lot of people can't understand is you have a founding father, but yet you still have people that back then weren't even considered 3/5 of a human being. So
Especially the degradation of other humans before the law, had already begun to fall from favor. While this debate was prominent among the founders, Floyd, as far as history can tell us, was not an active supporter of abolition, and unlike many signers and political thinkers of those days, did not appear to see a contradiction in the quest for liberty and the rights of man and the slavery that supported his lifestyle. The census of 1820, a year before his death, still listed Floyd as a slaveholder. Slavery did not end in New York until July 4th, 1827. Despite this glaring failing, Floyd was what we would call a reliable volunteer today. He was the person that the town turned to when they needed someone to run the committee, chair the meeting, represent the people at an event somewhere far away. Certainly his wealth and status as a landowner must have first thrust him into positions of leadership, but it must have been his steadfast service and trustworthiness that kept him in positions of responsibility year after year as the idea of a free and independent nation germinated across the colonies. Floyd was not a rabble-rouser, not a vocal rebel calling for a revolution. He was a businessman, extremely wealthy, who sought independence from the abuses of England against his free enterprise. Respected by his community, he was appointed as a colonel in the militia just as the Revolutionary War exploded across the colonies. He would eventually achieve the rank of Major General, but his service was more organizational than combative. He was also selected to serve as a New York representative to the First Continental Congress beginning in September of 1774 and attended sessions in Philadelphia between then and 1776, when, along with the other original signers, he risked everything he had and put his name to the Declaration of Independence. It was a risk that he took on freely, and one that he and his family would pay dearly for. Many today are aware of the battles that took place on Long Island due to the popular television show Turn, a dramatic depiction of the events surrounding the capture, occupation, and eventually abandonment of Long Island by British forces. Many of these dramatized events took place in the village of Setauket, and history records the Battle of Setauket as a major event in the war. As a boy, I do remember being shown the bullet marks that are still visible in the old church and on the rock memorial that sits in the middle of the town. Floyd was in Philadelphia as a delegate during this time, and when he returned to Long Island after the British left in 1777, he found his estate ransacked, his property stolen, and his lands plundered. His family had evacuated during the occupation, and the strain of the ordeal brought despair and sickness to his wife, who died in 1781. Despair and loss, however, did not deter Floyd from his duties. Following his service in the Continental Congress, including multiple terms until 1789, Floyd was elected to the first United States Congress in 1789, serving one term. He ran unsuccessfully for lieutenant governor of New York against the still famous John Jay. He was later elected as a delegate to the New York Constitutional Convention in 1801 and to the State Senate in 1804. Having reestablished his estate, Floyd lived a long life, remarrying to Joanna Strong in 1784 and adding 2 additional children to the 3 that he had with Hannah Jones. He died in August 1821 at the age of 86. The William Floyd estate still stands on Long Island, although Floyd moved to Westernville, New York in 1803 and is owned by the National Park Service as part of Fire Island National Seashore. It was a life well lived in times of struggle and change. Records from the time do not make much mention of Floyd. He was not a visible presence or vocal voice in the Congress. Records from the proceedings mention his presence, but his impression on other delegates might well be summarized in a contemporary's letter to John Jay. That named William Floyd as one of the good men who never quit their chairs. Grossman, 2014, page 397. We should all be grateful to those who, like Floyd, never quit their chairs and ensured the founding of our nation through their service and sacrifice. Jay McConville is a military veteran, management professional, and active civic volunteer currently pursuing a Ph.D. in public policy and administration at the L. Douglas Wilder School of Government and Public Affairs, Virginia Commonwealth University. Prior to beginning his doctoral studies, he held multiple key technology and management positions within the aerospace and defense industry, including twice as president and CEO. He served in the U.S. Army as an intelligence officer and has also been active in civic and industry volunteer associations, including running for elected office, serving as a political party chairman, and serving multiple terms as president of both his industry associations.
Yeah, like I said, that was interesting finding out more about, William Floyd, to see that his, history, and to even understand it. I really can't fully grasp it that I had one side of my family, like my dad's family were slaves. So, and then my mom's side of the family owned slaves. So it's like, it's very conflicting, but it's still history. It's a part of my story. It's a part of my history, uh, but also it's a part of American history. So, and I think everybody should look through their heritage. They shouldn't really have a problem with that, and finding out where you come from. Not we all don't come from the same place. That's the one thing that I found out digging through my mom's, especially my mom's, and well, I should say my mom's, because my grandma, grandpa, my grandpa was Swedish and my grandma was Norwegian. Uh, so just even understanding that, but then going back through, following the bloodline, you see that they came over here back in the 1700s before America was America. Uh, And when I go and look through my father's, it doesn't go a long way back. What you see is it. I'm still going through like censuses, and I know a lot of people don't understand that, but uh, so that's what you got to go through. You have to go through census. But the thing that is a big problem in Minnesota of going through them is that Minnesota doesn't have a few, like, from 1890 until I believe it was like 19, so like 20 years of census. So you know that there was black people in, like, Minnesota or whatever, but there was like stories that had gone missing because you could find a story, but you can't find them on census anymore. So that makes it kind of hard to prove that they were even around, or that they were even here. One thing that I did come to find out is, like, even in Red Wing, they had a black teacher. Uh, it's written about, but you don't find that on census because during that time, um, it's gone from, like I said, from 1890 to about 1910, and then in 19, I think it was like either 1913 or 1915, the U.S. Congress agreed. They voted on it to get rid of those uh, full records because they weren't full anyway. So you really don't have a lot of um, can't it's really hard to prove. You can find it in articles. It's the same way of people want to say, "Oh, there wasn't lynching or there wasn't that." Yes, Red Wing did have a lynching back in 1893, and you can prove this is because they had the railroad strike at that time around there. And they brought people from Chicago to break the line, whatever you want to call it, to replace the workers that were striking. So I do believe that some of those were black people, and they scared them off by hanging the one on the railroad tracks. If you go back and look at newspaper articles around that time, there was a newspaper. You had the Republican Eagle, who was owned by a northern. No, he wasn't. There was two newspapers. There was the Republican Eagle, and there was another one. But both of those guys, Hubbard and Colville, became very. They were already kind of, famous. They had long standing in the communities, but if you look on through history, you see that their media formats have gotten bigger. So, but people just don't do their homework. They don't want to. They don't want to read about it, or they don't want to learn about it, and that's really the sad part about it. So, I want to get into this is what a lot of people don't understand. Now, if you're black, you can get it. I've seen the comments, right? I've seen some on Facebook, and it's like some people like it shouldn't be the only black person with a bunch of white people. Like I've been the only black person. Like when I've gone to bars, one thing that I won't do is like go swimming or anything to do with like heights, especially with somebody else. So I don't really feel really comfortable. But the story that I do have, it was like 10, 12 years ago. And we were going to go camping. Uh, but I thought it second about it, right? Because I'm like, wait, I'm not going out into the woods with these fucking people. I'm the only black guy. Like that shit doesn't even make any sense. Like, and where I lived around that time in the Preston area, there isn't really a lot of black people. So a lot of the like acquaintances, I won't call them like friends, but acquaintances were white. And they were very far few between to find blacks. So you had to hang out with, some white people. And if you just a loner, if you didn't, you're just at home or like at the bar sitting by yourself. And that shit gets kind of boring at a time. So this story, uh, the Nolan Xavier Wells,
You see that young black man in the middle? That's
that drove me crazy a little bit because I know how real this story can be. I know how it feels when you are the only black person. Nothing's ever happened to me. I could thank God for that. But I have been in the situations where I was the only black person. Didn't matter. You're going into a relationship with a white girl, or any of that shit. There's still people that look at black people uh, through racist lens. That's because they don't have no understanding or they don't have no uh pers- I don't know, it's hard for them to understand where we came from, but to know that these people can grow on you, but also as well you can help them get rid of I would like their fears, or I don't know what to really call it. Some people just aren't, they don't think about race, they don't look at race, but then you have people that come into rural areas and that's all they see is like, damn, I'm the only black person here. Uh, but if you move down to the rural areas, that's what you get. You are outnumbered. You're the minority. And really, people don't want to hear about racism. I can bring up why we had sundown towns. I can even bring it up with the Napa. No African people allowed. This is real shit. These aren't made up stories. There was cross burnings. We had the KKK in southern Minnesota, especially down in Faribault, Albert Lee, Owatonna, Rochester. I mean, that shit was kind of big here for, I don't think it's like fully 100% left. I think there is still some kind of, no one say kind of, but there still is remnants of that past. And a lot of people don't want to talk about it because they feel like, well, I didn't own no slaves, so what should I give a fuck? It's because it's a part of American history. It's a part of our story. The more, that's what's really insane to me is like, nobody's saying you're evil. Nobody's saying that you're this, you're that. All I'm trying to say is like, hey, we don't have to be like this. And that's the one part that I think that is really, really wrong with America is like we don't try to correct bad behavior. We just ignore it or look the other way. But that shit gets worse. Those bad habits turn into violence, can turn into, that's the one thing that I notice here on social media, right? Because this is the fucked up part for me is because even as being a conservative, I've been called a nigger by a DFL dude last week. I've been called nigger by a couple of Republicans. Our And I don't see myself as the same as them. I don't see myself as a Republican, and I don't see myself as a Democrat. I see myself as a conservative, a person that cares about nuclear families. I care about the education of our kids. I care about the violence that goes on in our streets. I care about these dumbass niggas out here selling drugs to our communities and hurting people. And I'm tired of hearing this shit of, well, I don't want to get involved in politics because, okay, I get it. I've had to learn the hard way. I've had to learn the hard way. When I first got into this fight back in May 25th, 2020, people called me, thought I was a Democrat because I believed that BLM was really about Black lives. Not Black profits, but Black lives. And they didn't share the money trees. They didn't share that knowledge. They didn't share those loopholes. not with people who were straight black men. They gave them to people that consider them queer, or they have these pronouns, or they like the rainbow. But if you're a straight black man, or even a straight black, I won't even say a straight black woman anymore, because like I can't say that about like Nakima, or even because they don't fight for black lives. They fight for black profits. That's it. Black profits, not lives, profits. Because even the same thing with Chantel, her wife, the lady on the St. Paul City Council. These niggas are not us. They're not here to fight for us. They're here to fight for immigrants, black immigrants, queer immigrants, LGBTQ people. They're not here for us. So I really want people to understand and know that these so-called social justice advocates, if you get paid by the government, how the fuck are you a social justice advocate? Because you're not fighting for the people. You're fighting for corporations. You're trying to get that donation from the white guilt people. And that's what's crazy, because I see a lot of white guilt, but it's not used in the right way. It's not used in the right way. And that's what's really fucked up, is because they're taken advantage of. They're taken advantage of. So, and I know people don't want to answer to that, but it is what it is. And here you go with Nolan Xavier Wells.
Nolan Xavier Wells, and he's missing. Last time that he was seen was with those three gentlemen on a 4th of July trip to Horn Island off the coast of Mississippi. Nolan Xavier Wells is 18 years old and is described as a promising student athlete from Ocean Springs, Mississippi. He is approximately 6'1" and weighs about 180 pounds. Family members and community activists have been posting consistently on social media trying to raise awareness about the fact that he is missing. His mother is desperate to find out information. Authorities have asked that anyone with information about Nolan's whereabouts contact the Jackson County Sheriff's Department at 228-769-3063 or call 911. They have also said it is not yet confirmed whether he is still on Horn Island. Leads from both the island area and the mainland are considered extremely important at this time. And why in the world anyone will let their black child go to Horn Island is beyond me. It's beyond me. It is secluded. It is a part of the Gulf Islands National Seashore, and you cannot get to this island in Mississippi without a private boat or a chartered water taxi. It has no cell phone reception. It's extremely secluded. If something were to happen there, there's no way you would be able to get any information out to save yourself, or that anyone there would save you. Why anyone would go there with? There's a lot about this that has really. I am praying for this young man's return, and I am praying for his family.
Yeah, because that shit kind of crazy. Even you have Tyler Robinson, the guy who is accused of killing Charlie Kirk. His pretrial motion hearing is going on this morning.
Turn your attention to State's Exhibit number 2.
Showing the evidence that they have.
And that should come up on your monitor there.
So there goes Robinson.
Let me know when you see that, if you would.
Yeah, they're presenting the evidence.
Your Honor, if we could maybe not have it on the lectern screen. We're getting reports that the documents shown on the lectern screen are being live screened. It's live streamed. So maybe if we could just not show that one until it's admitted.
Mr. Grunander? I'll submit it to the court, Judge. I've got copies of these for myself. Okay. But I can refer to as I'm asking questions.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and grant the request by Ms. Nestor. We'll go ahead and there should be a power button to turn it off. Thank you, Jeff.
If they don't want us to, shit.
And if at any point, Mr. Grunander, you do need to use the monitor, let's revisit that. And obviously, Ms. Nestor, you can renew your objection if needs be but for now, the monitor's turned off. Let's go ahead and proceed.
Thank you. Officer, do you see State's Exhibit number 2 on your monitor?
Yes, I do.
And do you recognize that?
I do.
And what is that?
This is a picture of from the east side looking west of the campus.
Okay. Are you familiar with what's depicted in this photograph?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And does it show, for example, the Losi Center that we've talked about?
Yes, it does.
Does it depict the Woodbury Business Building that we've talked about?
Yes.
What about the Fugel Building?
Yes.
Does it show the Sorensen Center?
Yes.
And also the Hall of Flags?
Yes.
In this particular exhibit, can you also see the courtyard?
I can. A partial of it.
A partial of it? Okay. Does it fairly and accurately depict this area of campus of UVU on September 10th, 2025?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, the state offers State's Exhibit number 2.
Your Honor, we renew our standing objection. We also argue that a foundation hasn't been laid in terms of the time this was taken or who took it, and at what point in time this was created and how. So I don't think he has any personal knowledge of that, and we'd object.
Mr. Gernander.
Same arguments, Judge. He has testified that he's familiar with it. He has personal familiarity with it. He's testified that it's fair and accurate as of the day of September 10th, 2025. And that's what was asked of him.
All right. I will go ahead and overrule the objection by defense, noting that the witness has laid, he has expressed that this is a fair and accurate representation of that foundation has been laid.
Facing the gallery of the court today. Can you describe, there's a large building in the middle of that photograph, slightly above the middle, but what building are we looking at there?
You're looking at the top of the rooftop of the Losi building. It's got two different grays, like a lighter gray and a darker gray.
Are you familiar with that rooftop then?
Yes, I am.
And what's it made of?
It's made of gravel.
Gravel, okay. You mentioned two different grades, or did you say
Grays.
grays? Grays, okay,
Yeah, grays.
all right. Now you described that you could see the courtyard, but it wasn't easily visible in this photograph. Where is the courtyard located on the State's Exhibit number 2?
So you got the white roof that's going to be in the middle, just to the top of the building where the Losi is. I described there's a white roof there. That's the Sorensen building, and it's just below that. You can see some grass, and that's where the courtyard is. It's just to the left of that white roof.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask if the witness could actually come down from the stand and point out where the courtyard is located in this exhibit for the court's benefit.
All right, do we have a second microphone so it picks up his voice? Okay, Ms. Nestor, thank you for allowing us. Officer, you may step down, approach the monitor, and I would ask that you speak into the microphone when responding to a question.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can, thank you.
So, officer, for our benefit, would you describe again where the Losi Center is in this photograph?
The Losi Center is going to be this one with the gray roofs. It's got two different colors of gray.
Two different colors of gray, okay. I'm blind, I can't see those two different colors from here, but can you describe where the court, looks like we went blank.
There we go.
Can you point to where the courtyard is located on that exhibit?
The courtyard is going to be here where this grass is in this area right here.
Okay. And what about the Fugel Building?
Fugel Building is going to be this building right here.
And the Woodbury Business Building then?
Woodbury is going to be this one right here with this red brick path.
And the Sorensen Center?
Sorensen Center is going to be this white roofed one that's right here.
Okay. Now on this exhibit, can you see the LDS Institute building and the parking structure that we've talked about?
No, not really. You got the back side of the Institute building, which is right here, and the parking structure's over there. So
Okay.
you can't see it in this.
Mr. Gernander, let me stop you just for the benefit of the record, because the record is picking up the audio. When you're pointing it to, and I know it may be a little bit laborious to do this, but as you're identifying, indicate the general location on it, the left side, right side, middle, upper, lower, just so the record knows to some degree where you're pointing. And that way, because the video isn't being captured, so if you would do that, it just creates a more complete record. Thank you.
Understood. That's fair. Thank you, Judge. So again, let's point to the courtyard, and if you'll describe as best you can where that is located on the photograph.
On this photograph, the courtyard is going to be this grass area that's going to be towards the top of the picture. The baseball field's behind it. It's closer to the surrounding buildings. There's some grass in there. That would be the courtyard area.
Okay, we've talked about the Hall of Flags and the walkway above that hall. Where is that located on this photograph?
The Hall of Flags is going to be right by the courtyard, just to the west of it. There's a red brick towards the top of the picture. There's a red brick pathway that goes from the Fugal building, which is on the left of the picture, towards the right of the picture, which is the science building area.
Okay, and then the Sorensen Center, is that the building in the middle with the large white roof?
Yeah, it's going to be kind of towards the upper part of the picture, middle of it. It's going to be a white roof. That will be the Sorensen Center.
And just to the north and east of the courtyard?
Yes, north and east.
Okay, and then finally, if you would describe the Losi building, the location of that on this exhibit.
The Losi building is going to be pretty much in the middle on the right side, so middle to the right. It's going to have two different colors of gray, a darker gray and a lighter.
Watch the FIFA World Cup 2026 live on Fox with YouTube TV.
I want to
officer that
stop it. Not saying I don't care about the whole Charlie Kirk thing, but I want to go into kind of explaining. You know, I'm always hearing about what happened, what was in the 2026, legislative bills and all that, because people always ask, where was the black policy? But I also want to show you where a lot of the money went in the bonding bills, right? So in Health and Human Services, you had SF, Senate File 4612, and House File 4466, Health and Human Services, Omnibus Bill covering policy and finance provisions. 4476 and HF 4338, Human Services Policy and Omnibus Bill. Funding included $40 million for housing assistance and support for immigrants affected by Operation Metro Surge. That's kind of wild to me, but I'm like, wow. Yeah, I really don't get that. Higher education and omnibus was HF 4252, and Senate File 3943. Then you had House File 2433, Senate File 4059. Provisions included special education aid adjustments, student support personnel funding, and teacher pathway programs modification. Housing, House File 1141 and Senate File 0203. Signed into law included 165 in housing finance and policy, 100 million in infrastructure bonds, and 40 million for the Family Homeless Prevention and Assistance Program. Safety and security measures included capital security enhancements, fraud prevention, and IT modernization for counties, taxes and finances, providing property tax relief. I don't know how that's really going to go. I think it's going to be kind of crazy. Even capital investment and bonding bills total over $1.2 billion for infrastructure projects, including water treatment, local roads, and public facilities. Pensions, omnibus pensions and retirement bills signed into law included $15 million in current budget and $25 million ongoing. Reducing the para, police, and fire plan, COLA waiting period. Yeah, I don't really understand a lot of that shit. Cannabis and substance use disorder, held over, focused on prior authorization and step therapy for opioid use disorder treatment, modifying civil commitment definitions for chemically dependent persons, active, expanding substance abuse care and mental health unit, $705 million for Hennepin County, including a $205 million immediate cash fusion and a $500 million reserve fund. $125 million increase for a homestead tax credit benefiting approximately 600,000 homeowners. Reduced vehicle registration fees to 2022 levels, totaling $254 million in savings. Infrastructure, $1.2 billion. Creation of the Office of Inspector General and additional staff for Medicaid fraud investigations. So there was a lot of shit that, but I want people to understand of like, you have to be vocal. We have to understand that in the 2023 and 2024 session, they gave 1.1 billion to nonprofits. How did that really help Minnesotans? How did that help us? That's what I really want to know. Like, how did that help Minnesotans? Because it didn't. Any of the shit that they've even done in the last couple of years hasn't even helped us. They say it does. It looks good on paper. But then the minute you start looking at it and reading, it's not so good on. You understand that that policy or even that wasn't about us. But yet they care about black people, they say. I will never understand a lot of people in America, even especially when it comes to black people. Definitely can't understand you. Because especially what's going on, I'll say it like this. As a conservative, I am willing to hold Republicans, MAGA, accountable. And I do. I don't sit there and say, hey, no. I talk shit to both sides and really to the Democrats, really, because a lot of Minnesota is about failed Democratic policies. And that's the part they don't want to talk about. That's the part that they like, while all this shit is happening, when it comes to the immigrants, when it comes to even I don't get it. I don't get it anymore. And it's like when is enough going to be enough? When is enough going to be enough? That's what I want people to ask themselves. When is enough going to be finally enough? Is it going to be where one of your kids get taken? Even though you can do something right now to prevent it when it comes to overdoses or the fake pills, the weed. Y'all could do something now, but a lot of people would prefer not to do anything at all. And to be honest, that's the sad part. That's the sad part, that a lot of people would rather stand by and watch instead of getting involved. And let's do something now to stop it. And they'd rather not do that. And that to me is really, really sad, because we have a lot of people who are not becoming educated or even trying to better their community situation. They would just rather look the other way and ignore it, because they're not going to bite the hand that feeds them. And that's really the really crazy part of living in Minnesota and understanding that our politicians are bought, paid for. They've been sold us out. Doesn't matter if it comes to Bobby Champion. And the reason why a lot of Minnesotans don't listen to, I won't even say Minnesotans, I'll say a big part of like CD5, Congressional District 5, which is North Minneapolis, South Minneapolis, but really just like mainly the Twin Cities, is they don't like people with conservative outlooks. They want progressive. They want the moderates. They don't want people that believe in two genders, believe that girls should play in girl sports and boys should play in boys. They think all those things are bad. They think that we shouldn't be having teachers teach our kids about sex. That's not bad. That's what that's not what school is about. School is about learning basic math, reading, arithmetic, cursive writing, life skills. They're not getting that in school anymore. They're getting indoctrinated to believe and think one way and not to be open-minded, but to be. And it doesn't, that's the fucked up part. It's because in rural areas, you have them being one way, and then in the urban areas, they're teaching kids another way. And it's all to hate. They say they teaching prosperity and loving connections, but when you really look at it, is it really about loving your neighbor or is it really about judging your neighbor? So I'll be back Wednesday. I hope everybody had a good Fourth. And like I said, research your family history. Look through your ancestors, because I was astonished to find out that I had a family member that signed a Declaration of Independence. Even though I'm 49 years old, this is something that I can let the others behind me, below me, know about our family. Especially when it comes to my kids. So, like, be honored to be an American because your family started that. Your family was a signer of the Declaration of Independence. And not only that, but when you look on your grandpa's side, know that they just weren't just slaves. They fought to get out of that. And then they fought to get out of that with nothing. And when it did go away, they didn't get anything because it was, everybody thinks that 40 acres and a mule shit went through. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. They took that shit back. Look at the Washington, D.C. emancipation. All right, I think that's what it's called. Because they were paid. They paid for every slave that owner had. They gave $300 American dollars at that time. I don't know if that's probably a lot of money now, but hey, it is what it is. And I'm not bringing it up to hate on America. I'm bringing it up so that we can rejoice in the ugly, the beautiful, and the traumatizing together. We can all have different perceptions. We can all have different outlooks. But at the end of the day, when it really comes to a lot of this fight, if we're poor, we have the same fight because we're getting left behind. We're not getting that American dream. They've so far from the American dream. And just like even with I talk about this Wednesday, that the number 2 in Feeding Our Future was arrested over in Somalia. I'm guessing from what the report that I saw yesterday was that he's not actually back here in America yet. He's still in a Somalian jail. And they don't even know if he's actually going to come over here. So there has been small, I won't even say small because I don't know how big, how populated that area is. But there's been protests for the Somalian fraudster who was actually still in Somalia, and telling them that all these stories of how he's good and how he's this, and those things can be true. They both can be true at the same time. And that's what I truly feel like people really miss out on and pass up. So with that being said, here is ICU, Micah Yermick out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I will be back Wednesday. Until then, have a good one.
Look. Hard love, yeah. Let me tell you a story. I fell in love in the nighttime with a vampire. Only comes out after dark, and I'm hoping that the time's right. But she's out for blood. With 2 drinks and I think I'm alright, but I can't drive in the backseat of a car. I'm reaching for a lifeline. Please call 911. Yeah. Tell them that it hurts so bad I need you. Got me bleeding from my chest so it can feed you. You tearing up my heart and now I see you. I see you. I think that her intentions are pure evil. Done this to like hundreds of different people. Yeah, you're tearing down my heart and now I see you.